Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Everyman Prepping. And we had a wild weekend. You had the Super Bowl. You had the U.S. Air Force shooting things out of the sky, 4 of them. China claiming they have balloons going over there. So, what is this all a distraction from? Because that's why I believe it's happening. And I think it's from what you see scrolling behind me. And that's the disaster in Ohio, the huge catastrophic environmental disaster that's hurting people, animals, the ground, the water. And the government, mainstream media, totally ignoring it. So I want to get into that in a little bit here. Please also like this video, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody's help in getting these videos out and fighting the algorithm. So as we can see here, that we had all that stuff going on, things getting shot out of the sky. Look over here, mainstream media totally ignoring the story what's going on. Probably the biggest environmental catastrophe in the United States in decades. But look at these planes shooting things down. We're closing airspace. China has balloons. Uruguay. Definitely don't want to pay attention to what's going into our own backyard. Let's look elsewhere. Because as you can read in this, as we go through this article, which I'll post down below in a link so you can read it in detail, it's going to be amazing what is going on to that. They're having an apocalypse there. They're having an SHTF there, and it's totally being ignored by the government, the EPA, and the media. So as it says here, it says, just like I said, while the government is, shooting things out of the sky, they're ignoring Ohio. It's in East Palestine, very near Pennsylvania as well. Back last week, the train wrecked. It was 100 trains that wrecked. 5 of them contained pressurized vinyl chloride, coming out with some other chemicals also were in these cars that were hazardous. And it's highly flammable. And they were afraid, here's a picture of the wreck, they were afraid that these chemicals were going to explode and damage the train and ruin the train tracks. We couldn't have that. We couldn't have a $55 billion train company lose its train tracks and not be able to send their rail cars. So what they do instead, they burned off all these hazardous, highly carcinogenic chemicals, put them into the air, which they know are going to come right back down in the rain and the weather, back onto the people and the land and the water and the animals. But you know what they can do? They can open up the train sooner. Let's go through this a little bit here. It says, like I said, they didn't want to risk catastrophic damage to the train. Don't worry about the town or people. It says, however, that operation, which is the exploding of the on-purpose explosion of the vinyl chloride, sent large plumes of smoke containing vinyl chloride, phosgene, and hydrogen chloride and other gases into the air as the flames of the controlled burn raged on for days. It says they were initially evacuated, but then on February 8th, people were let back in without even testing of their homes, the quality, the air quality. And if you check out from this photo here, this video, I'm going to play a little bit here so we don't get any copyright strikes, but you can see, look at that huge fireball going up. It's amazing. And then all that black, all that chemicals are all getting released in the atmosphere. And if you're downwind, it's going to come down. They've had rain over there. It's going to come down the rain. In fact, let me show you some photos really quick. They're the ones that are behind me, but these you can see they're blown up a little bit. So black cloud kind of looks like, back in Kuwait in the Gulf War when they set oil fields on fire, and we know the damage that caused. But this is phosgene and vinyl chloride and all kinds of bad stuff in the air. This is what it looked like during the day. That's not nighttime. And the trains afterwards, all destroyed. Who knows? All this, water is going back into the ground. All those chemicals go in the ground. You're at the home, you're a small business. They don't want you spilling a little antifreeze, a little oil in the ground because the EPA is coming after you. You think the EPA is going to come after the train company? No way. And check out this. Can't verify this, but I found this photo. They said this. Someone said they were driving through the East Palestine area of Ohio. It was raining out, and then they got out from the car, and you can see this white crusty stuff. They said was all over their car. Who knows what that is? Don't know if it's believable, but it could be hazardous chemicals. Who knows? But, that's pretty bad. So, back to the article here. It says here, one local farmer reported that sudden deaths of many of his animals. He's a fox raiser. His park dairy is called, and he's a fox keeper. His name is Tyler Holtz, and he says the foxes died on him, getting very sick. They're having a very hard time with it. So he lost a lot of his animals. And it says the chemicals that we're being told are safe in the air, that's definitely not safe for the animals or the people. See, they're being told, it's in the air, don't worry about it. You're good. We're here to help you. So then it says here, we interviewed another person. Her name is Caitlin Schwartzwelder. Apologize if I butchered her name. She has a dog kennel about 10 miles away. and she wanted to go. She's like, I'm getting out of here, which is probably a smart move. And she fled to Boardman, Ohio, which is 15 miles away from the derailment. And she received calls and reports of dead chickens, fish, and other animals from friends and acquaintances. So I've seen that too. I've seen pictures of weird chicken eggs coming out. One local TV station, let's look here. They went out and checked out some of the creeks. And I think this is WKBN 27 over in Ohio. They went and checked out the creeks. They got dead fish here, another dead fish here. So obviously it's bad enough to cause the fish to start dying in the rivers around there. And here's the fox guy with his fox that's very sick, and I believe it died a little bit later on, unfortunately. So moving on here, we'll play a little bit of this video, but you can see the sky. Like I said, this is not nighttime. This was during the day when the smoke was in the air. And all that's coming down. It's just not going to drift away. It's going to come down. It might come down even hundreds of miles away. If you're on the East Coast right now, you need to be seriously concerned. You need to see if you can track where this plume is, and you might need to start covering stuff, move out for a while. I don't know, but it's no good. So let's read a little bit more here. It says the poor air quality presents short and long-term health risks to the public, considering the carcinogenic effects of the chemicals. And it says it can, it says vinyl chloride can cause liver damage, probably a bunch of other stuff too. It says the chemicals dispersed following the derailment pose the significant risk of contamination as well. Chemicals also spilled into the Ohio River towards West Virginia, prompting officials from the neighboring state to shut down water production in the area and turn to alternate sources of water. There's also a soil contamination risk in that area. So we got the Ohio River poison, which feeds into the Mississippi, which then feeds into the Gulf. So if you're along that path, who knows how badly that river's poisoned? If you're near there, go out there and see if there's dead fish floating around in your river. If you're a tributary that is fed in by the Ohio River, once again the soil's contaminated. So that's going to leak into groundwater, and that's going to flow into an aquifer somewhere. What's that going to poison? How long is that going to stay in the ground? How long is that going to poison plants, vegetables, things that wild animals eat? All that stuff, part of this. Also, point out why, as a prepper, you have your backup water, your way of filtering it. Now, I don't know if filters will take out all these. If you have your filter, you might want to call the company and say, hey, will it take out phosgene and vinyl chloride? Ask them, will it take this out? Be something good to check right now before you have to worry about it. But that's why, as a prepper, you have these means, so you can then, if this hits in your area, at least have a water source that you can use. Now, here's something really great here. Officials from the Environmental Protection Agency, our wonderful government agency, they took a similar tone, stating nothing unexpected was seen following the controlled burn. By the way, do you think that explosion was a controlled burn? Looked a little out of control to me, but that's just my opinion. James Justice of the EPA summed up his agency's position by saying, so far so good. We're going to continue monitoring until the fire's out. So far so good, no big deal. Government's here to help. You can all go back into your houses and don't worry about it. So once again, another picture of the firefighter crews here watching a giant plume of black smoke go in the air. It says here, the ongoing crisis in East Palestine represents an environmental and humanitarian disaster that hasn't been seen in the United States in recent memory. Like I said, it's probably been decades since we had something like this happen. And then at the last thing is here, like I said, in spite of this and the magnitude of the story, mainstream media is basically ignoring this whole story. You hear, the EPA says everything's good. They're probably not going to go after the train company because they need that train to move on. They're distracting you, like I said, with all the stuff this weekend. Look at the planes, look at the UFO, look at China. This is a horrible thing that's happened, and I think they're trying to sweep it under the rug, and they're using the mainstream media to help. If you're in these areas, if you're in the path of this plume, in the neighboring areas, you probably want to start using alternative sources of water right now until this is figured out. If you have animals and pets, you might want to bring them inside. Look for air filters that you may use, might be able to filter some of the air out. I don't know, something to check out though. As for water contamination, if you're along the Ohio River into the Mississippi, you probably don't want to use that water in your yard if you're watering. I know it's not time to grow yet or not, but you probably wouldn't want to touch that water right now. So just take care of yourself here in those areas. If I was in the area, that plume, you might want to look to bug out, go somewhere for a while, check out the jet stream, the wind, and all that, and find out where these carcinogenic chemicals are going. If it's rained and it came down, you might want to hose things off, wash it. If it's on the dirt, I don't know, scrape it, water it in, do something. You might want to check out, especially if it's rained and you were in the path of this. It's probably all over your ground. Maybe there's testing that you can have it sent off to. Maybe, heck, this railroad company will pay for testing. Who knows? I heard they might be going into houses and testing that. But just take care of yourself and be cautious. They're distracting you because it's probably really horrible. So that means you need to be concerned about this. And especially, like I said, if you're in the path of it. So anytime that you see big stories, being presented by the media and the government saying, look at this, we always want to be cautious and look somewhere else. We always want to see what they're trying to cover up, what they don't want us to look at. That's the key thing. And I believe this is one of the big things. There might be a few other ones that I didn't talk about in this one. The buildup of the war with Russia and the fact that they've doubled the number of tanks recently over there. The Iran-Israel conflict going on. The Iranian, either the head of the country or higher up is going to visit China in the next few days. Who knows what they're going to talk about. You got the whole China-Taiwan thing. So there's a lot of stuff that we need to distract the people from if you're the government. Bread and circus. That's what they're presenting. Bread and circuses. So you kind of go on with your life, keep paying your taxes, keep consuming, and don't worry about these other disasters. Look here, not there. So that's what I have for you today. Hope you got something out of this. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.